Welcome back to We Like That podcast.
Because we like that. I'm Joe.
And I'm Calvin.
Welcome back to We Like That podcast.
Because we like that.
How was your week?
Same as every week. Interesting.
Okay.
Nothing really happened.
For you? Okay.
Other than people getting arrested on the metro, probably. That's about it.
Did you see them get arrested or were they just detained?
No, they got arrested.
Like they got...
They don't put you in handcuffs just to take you somewhere else. They put you in handcuffs to take you to jail.
No, to detain you, they would put you in handcuffs.
No, they put you in handcuffs. If they're walking you out in handcuffs.
So Metro Police can't make arrests. They can detain them.
Okay.
Until the cops come.
Okay, well, they're detaining them and taking them somewhere until the cops come.
Interessante. Did you see why they're getting arrested?
No.
Oh.
I just saw cuffs.
Interessante. Anywho, moving on. You got anything else that happened to you this week?
No.
I ran into one of our friends. I did not know she was there until she was basically in my face because I don't pay attention to my surroundings at all. But that was fun. So shout out to Angela. Spent a lot of time at Harris Teeter. That's what I did this week.
Great for you.
We got a new roof.
No one cares.
I care. It's very pretty now. I like the colors. Oh, it was the most grown thing we've done so far. Not looking forward to these payments, but we have a roof.
Moving on to That Happened with Joe. Ski pop, blee pop pop. That happened with Joe.
Okay, and that happened with Joe. People are falling out because they found out that Roman Reigns voted for Trump. Roman Reigns is he's a confirmed registered Democrat. He did an interview with Vanity Fair recently because WrestleMania is happening this weekend, and he got asked about whether or not he basically supports Trump, and he basically was like, "Yeah, I voted for him." Said some very complimentary things about Trump. Says he doesn't agree 100% with everything that Trump does, but that more than but for the most part, Trump has his vote, and people are like, "What is happening? Why is it like this?"
Sounds like
now I gotta root for Seth Rollins and CM Punk.
Sounds like somebody wanted to get eyes on the main event to get people to tune in.
You think it's kayfabe?
Till you lose, yes.
You think it's kayfabe?
Yes.
I don't think he's lying though. I think he did vote for Trump.
Okay.
It is interesting that he decided to talk about it. A lot of analysts have brought up the fact that most people that are actively wrestling don't talk politics at all. Usually they don't talk about it at all. And he's over here like, yeah.
Okay, exactly.
And then right under it,
sell tickets.
So after the post went out with Vanity Fair, Rock commented on it and I was like, he should know better. So I don't know if that means he should know better about talking politics or if he should know better about supporting Trump. So that I don't know.
Politics. Talking politics.
I don't know.
That's what Rock is talking about.
I don't know. What's kayfabe? What's real? I don't know. So.
None of it is real.
I'm going to reiterate that your favorite wrestler more than likely is a Republican. MAGA supporter. More than likely. Just a reiteration of that. Unless they've all openly talked about how they have very liberal leaning views, more than likely they are Republicans. So there's that. There was a cheater caught on the roof of a garage for business. Did you see the video?
No.
It's in North Carolina.
Why would I want to watch a video of a cheater?
Somebody created a TikTok just to expose this person. So the only video on there is this one video, and it's somebody taping the roof of a parking garage. There's one car on the parking garage. You see two people get out of the car. It's a lady and a guy, and they both walk around the car, I guess, to switch seats to the front because they both came out the back seat. They're both walking around the car to get to the front seats. He smacks the lady on the butt, calls it a day. And then a little bit later in the video, I guess they rewind it or however they edited this. The girl's back in the car and she's in the back seat, and you see her take her scrunchie off her head and she's pulling all the excess hair off the scrunchie out the window and then putting that hair right back up. So people are speculating that she was trying to limit how much hair fell in the car in case they got caught up. And that both these people apparently work at the same place. They work in the same office. And he is not married to that woman. He's married, but not to the lady that's in that video. So it was very interesting. There's a lot of questions that have popped up. Who took the video? Why did they post it the way they did? They posted it. Like, what is going on? Some of the stuff that's come out is like the person who took the video is somebody who works there, who works with the insanity. And so people are just waiting for the fallout to see what happens because he's definitely somebody's boss. He's definitely that girl's boss. And there's quite the age gap between them. He's in his 40s and she's in her early 20s. So that was interesting. Also, another black woman went viral on TikTok for talking about how she invested $10,000 with a dating coach to find her husband. And people are like, why would you do that? Why would you spend $10,000 to get a husband? And basically, it's this woman going in about how, like, black women especially just don't have the knowledge nor the skill set to find a high vibrational partner. And that's when I tuned out because I don't care about that stuff. So yeah, but she claims that she's a CEO of a 7-figure business. She constantly repeats that, and it's been my experience. If somebody has to tell you that over and over again, they are not that thing. So it's making waves because a lot of black women are like, really? It's come to this? We have to spend exorbitant amounts of money to find a husband? And the name she drops as her dating coach is a very popular dating coach on TikTok, this guy named Anwar White. And they're like, why would you do this? And then it's other people breaking it down. Like she didn't say she paid Anwar 10,000. She said she invested 10,000. So then people are speculating, what would you invest that would amount to $10,000? Anwar's fee probably, let's say it's maybe 5. Let's say it's 5,000. What are you spending the rest of that on? So they're thinking it's like hair, makeup, clothes, cars, dates, such and such. Probably her own ring that's on her hand. It's quite interesting. But once you start talking about high vibrational people, I'm out. I'm no longer listening.
It's just she's trying to say it's hard to find somebody on her level, a black man on her level. How's that women's fault?
Well, according to her, black women just don't understand our true purpose when it comes to being with black men. And I was like, and I'm done, and I'm out, and I'm not. I don't know what that means.
Purpose.
There is an ongoing conversation around alpha maleisms that black women are too masculine to be with another black man. You can't have two masculine energies. One has to be submissive, docile, the female energy. And they feel like a lot of black women are too masculine. And the counter argument to that is what you view as masculine is black women just taking care of lives like they normally do. They're in situations where they are the caretaker. They are making the money. They are doing the cooking and the cleaning and the raising of the kids. But according to some other people, that's just too masculine.
I've never heard a man say that.
That somebody's too masculine? These new alpha males say it.
How alpha are they?
It's clearly not question. Because they have to keep repeating that they are one. So clearly they are not.
That's number one. Number two, I've dated my spectrum of women. Mm-hmm. It didn't bother me at all.
How fragile is the male ego that you're like, no, she can take care of herself? I can't do it.
That's the problem.
I'm confused.
They're too fragile.
Confused. Diddy took a loss in court. They were trying to change a date for like a new sentencing. Oh no, to stall on picking jurors because they're about to choose jurors for his trial.
Take that.
And the judge said, "No, we're doing it right. We're doing it right now." So that's happening. Do you know it's supposed to happen as of May? Like that's so soon.
I thought I told you that I won't stop.
Will you be surprised if after all of this, Diddy gets off scot-free?
No. Not at all.
Do you think long-term this would affect anything of his?
No.
I feel like short-term it might, but not long-term.
It's only going to affect him. It's not going to affect his
business, right?
Business or brands, which are probably already gone.
Yeah.
So it's not going to affect anything. It's just going to affect him. Bad Boy is no longer. Bad Boy's been done for I don't know how many decades now.
Uh-huh.
So it's in music. I don't even know what music is he doing. So it's not going to affect anything.
Yeah.
I wasn't into all of Diddy's music anyway to begin with.
Yeah.
other than Big Daddy. I mean, oh my God, Notorious Big
Mhm.
and Little Kim and probably Mace.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
That's who I'm waiting to say something. Mace.
Mace has said some stuff, but Mace doesn't care. Mace is like, it is what it is.
Okay.
He's washed his hands of that years ago. He's
Okay.
moved on, so he's good.
All right. Well, that's it. That's all I got for That Happened.
Skated about the end of that happened with you. Anything else you want to talk about before we move on to Worth the Watch?
Nope.
So this week's Worth the Watch is Hollywood Demons, episode 5, The Real Iron Claw. It's pretty much about these wrestling brothers.
It's a wrestling family.
Wrestling
Actually.
family, actually.
Yeah. And the Iron Claw is both the name of the movie that A24 dropped that's about them, the Von Erichs. But this is supposed to be like the real story. I did not know that A24 did not even consult the family when they made that movie.
Of course not. They hardly ever consult anybody when they do stuff like
That's
that.
so sad because they took a lot of liberties. So anyway, we watched that, and it kicked off with the patriarch, a guy named Fritz Von Erich, who was always an athlete. This guy kind of grew up in the Depression era, like the 1930s of Texas, in a very rural area. And immediately they set the stage about how, like, when it comes to family relationships, they are tenuous at best when it comes to the Von Erichs. Fritz Von Erich did not have a good relationship with his father. There wasn't a whole lot of
His
communication.
Fajar.
And his dad used to set him up to fight other kids. Like, it was an ongoing, like, fun thing for a lot of people. Like, instead of dog fights, it was kid fights,
Pretty much the men in the era used to bet on their kids fighting each other.
which is crazy.
Which
But
it's not crazy.
it's where he shined. Fritz Von Erich was a very big guy, and getting known for fighting is something that helped with his legacy. Then he got into football, and he was very good at football. He was what did you call them? A Dallas Texan,
Dallas Texans.
which apparently was a football league back in the 50s.
That's the name of the football team he played for.
The Dallas Texans?
Yeah. Which is now called the Houston Texans.
Houston Oilers?
Yeah, their names are the Houston Texans now.
They got rid of Oilers?
Yeah.
It just sounds like they're saying where they're from. Anyway, but he played professional football for a brief moment before he ended up leaving the league. They didn't continue his contract.
They had to change the name because they moved Houston to Tennessee. Now Tennessee is the Tennessee Oilers. Oh, I'm gonna say Titans. They changed their name eventually back.
I'm so lost right now.
So Houston Oilers moved to Tennessee.
And they became the Tennessee Titans.
Tennessee Oilers.
Tennessee Oilers.
Then they eventually changed the name from the Oilers to the Titans.
Okay. So isn't Oilers up for grabs? Couldn't Houston become the Houston Oilers again?
I guess they didn't want to use their name again.
So they did Houston Texans
Yes.
instead.
Yes.
Maybe it's a shout out to Dallas Texans.
Or I could be wrong. They moved to Tennessee and changed it to Tennessee Titans. And they just dropped the Oilers for the whole time.
I'm confused.
They just never got it back.
I only know the Dallas Cowboys. Does Houston do well?
They've been all right. No, they've been all right. They only been around, maybe, I want to say 9-10 years.
So no championships.
No.
Okay.
Not even close.
Okay. Off topic. So
Yeah.
Fritz played for a team called the Dallas Texans back in the 50s. He also got married around that same time to a lady named Doris. And they were excited because he's making good money and he was a professional football player. And then he wasn't. They didn't continue the contract. So he was trying to figure out what else to do with his career.
It's pretty much sound like he got cut.
And he ends up kind of getting scouted. A wrestler promoter convinces him to try out for wrestling because he's got the build. He's a huge guy, really big guy. And he does well. He does well for himself as a professional wrestler.
He comes up with this finishing move
Called the Iron Claw.
called Iron Claw. Pretty much it's somebody, he just takes his hand and try to smash your head. That's all it is.
And they said it was very convincing. But also he leaned into like his heel persona of being like a Nazi. Because this is around the time of like World War II.
I think he was a Russian, right?
No, he's supposed to be German. Von Erich?
Okay. So
are there Russian Nazis? Aren't they German?
Probably. He becomes a really good heel.
Yes. He becomes like an icon basically. Like he's a legend legendary wrestler at this point. And then he starts having the babies. He ends up having 6 boys. Jack, then you have Kevin, followed by David, Carrie, Mike, Chris.
Sure.
So, around this time, it's Jack and Kevin that are, causing havoc with their mother while his dad's on tour doing his different gigs. Unfortunately, Jack dies at the age of 6.
So apparently his mom was too busy to deal with him.
That's
or
messed
something.
up. No, she was washing dishes and he wanted to go play at his friend's house.
So she was like, "Get lost." He's like,
no.
"Okay."
But he is 6. But whatever. He tells his mom he's going to go to his friend's house. And she said, okay. She finishes up her cleaning.
She gets a lot of things done. She takes a break, smokes a cigarette. Then she realizes, I haven't seen Jack for a little bit.
That didn't happen at all. So she goes to check. She calls her neighbor because he's supposed to be at their house to playing with his friends. And they're like, we didn't see Jack. Jack never came by.
She's like, he's not here.
So they call the cops. The cops unfortunately find Jack's body. Turns out he either was running his hand along a fence or he touched the fence, and there's also a live wire that came in contact with the fence, and it blew him back into a puddle.
And they don't know if he drowned or the electric shock.
Well, they know he got electrocuted, but they don't know if what caused the death was the electric shock or the puddle.
Or the puddle that he possibly drowned in.
Right.
How is there... So that will tell me either a power line.
Might not even be a power line. It could have been like a generator for something that was in contact and zip zap zap. But also, like, the fence was full metal. Like, I have more questions.
Yeah, they only used real metal back then. They didn't use plastic for nothing.
I'm not saying plastic, not wood. The fence wouldn't be wood.
No, according to where you live at certain times, everything was metal, maybe wood.
Okay.
The backwoods probably used wood. He probably was like in the backwoods, but not that far back.
Okay.
Seemed like they were in a...
It looked like they were in a trailer situation.
Looked like they were in a nice area.
Okay.
Because I'm assuming they had money.
Okay.
At this time. Playing football, and now he's...
No, he wasn't playing football anymore.
Well, I'm saying after the football, and then he's now this big wrestler. I think he made...
I don't know how much they were making wrestling, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right, too. So, anywho... Wherever they were, it was around a bunch of metal.
Okay.
A metal fence.
But yeah, unfortunately, tragically, Jack passes. So now it's Kevin. In response to that, once Fritz finds out about this tragedy, he doesn't really deal with his grief. He goes back to work immediately. He gets back on the road.
He actually did for like a second. He punched his punches through a window or something.
That's not really dealing with your grief.
But I'm saying for a second, for him, in his mind,
if you want to say that was an acknowledgement, sure.
In his mind, I think he's like, okay, that's me dealing with it.
I don't know, because apparently when he gets back to work, he is taking it out on his partners.
Yeah,
he is putting them through the ringer
because he doesn't know how messed up he really is.
And then immediately he is trying to convince his wife that they need to have more kids. He's like, let's get back on having kids.
So they start pumping out kids.
Yep, that's when we get the other brothers. So after Kevin, like I said, it's Dave and then Carrie, Mike, followed by Christopher. So it's 5 of them at that point of the Von Erichs. And the thing about the Von Erichs is that they're just very athletically leaning. Their dad is also, clearly a professional athlete during wrestling.
Pretty much.
They have access to all of his stuff to work out regularly.
They got the DNA. Their dad is built like a refrigerator.
So true. He's humongous. But also, like, they just lean towards athleticism. Like, they just had the knack for it.
Yeah, because it's pretty much like it's in their DNA.
But they also have to want to. You know what I mean? You also have to want to do it.
Sometimes, even if you don't want to, it's just your DNA.
It just happens that way.
Yeah. Because you look at them, all of them are huge.
But when Kevin's talking about like what their day-to-day was as kids, a lot of it is working. A lot of it is working out.
Yeah.
So much of it is working out. Like they'd go to the shed and lift weights, and then they'd go running the next day, and then they were doing like all kinds of other stuff. Like they just were very athletic leaning.
These dudes were huge.
They were ginormous. And this is like the 70s and 80s. Yeah. So anyway, eventually Fritz retires and Kevin follows his footsteps and decides he also wants to get into wrestling. And he's joined by his younger brothers, that's Dave and Carrie, and they start doing really well for themselves. And Fritz becomes a promoter for them. And they change a lot of how wrestling is stylized
He pretty much becomes the biggest promoter
for their area.
for that area.
Yeah.
'Cause-
But he also makes a lot of changes. Like apparently walk-on music was not something that they had before the
Mhm,
Von Erichs. They bring that to the forefront.
mhm.
And they're Texas boys. They do a lot of their matches in and around different areas of Texas. They become hugely popular.
It sounds like he also created the first starts of what we know to become WrestleMania.
I'm confused by the timing of that because they talk about how all this is happening around the 80s. WrestleMania is happening in the 80s as well. The first WrestleMania is in 84. And his little cable company that he gets up and running to show to more regions, basically,
Mhm.
that Fritz does, that's in 87. So Vince McMahon is already doing his stuff.
Oh, okay. Got you.
But I also wouldn't put it past Vince McMahon to just steal their stuff.
That's what I
steal their
think.
stuff.
That's what I think happened.
So,
That's honestly what I think happened.
right.
Um,
Right.
They're literally so back in the day, it was more than WWE and I guess AEW. Now.
Yeah. Well, it's AEW now, TNA, and WWE.
Pretty much each region or
Mhm.
coast had their own like professional wrestling circuit. Like
They still have it that way.
yeah, the Midwest had their own. The West Coast had one. The East Coast. Then you had
Mid-Atlantic have their
Mid
own.
Atlantic. All that stuff. Everybody
South,
pretty much
Central South.
had
all
their
of
own
that.
little wrestling federation or whatever.
Before Vince notoriously said he merged them, and by merged them, he just stole their talent. So,
Pretty much took over.
yeah.
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 Like pretty much strong armed everybody out.
Well, he also had the money. Vince McMahon is a lot of things, but he knows this business.
Yeah, anywho, it's not about him.
You said back to the Von Erichs.
Yeah, screw him.
So, but the point is, they really made a moment for themselves in wrestling history. Like a lot of things started to change because of what they were bringing in
And they were
at the height of their
and they were
popularity.
huge in the area.
They became,
And
but they
outside
became
the circuit,
huge.
too.
Yeah, they became huge internationally.
Yeah,
They started doing tours into like Japan and other places. And again, they were just really good at wrestling. You had these really humongous guys who were flyers, which is at the time was not really something that people were known to do. Either if you were a big guy, then you were just a big guy who kind of stayed on the ground, maybe got into the technical, but they were also flying, jumping off of stuff. That group kick that they do, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool looking when they do it all together. But now they have this big family business. Unfortunately, stuff starts to change. Dave, who's technically the third eldest, but the second eldest at this point, surviving second eldest, he decides to go on tour on his own to Japan. And people start to note that he's acting a little different. Kevin notes that he doesn't look well. So like something might be going on with his health. A lot of people noted that like when he left to go to Japan, the way he was saying goodbye to everybody, they said it felt like real final. He goes to Japan. For all intents and purposes, it sounds like he gets out there, he has dinner with the other wrestlers, and then the next day he's found dead. The autopsy states that it's gastroenteritis that led to heart failure. They didn't find any drugs or alcohol in his room, but that doesn't stop all of the theories. We get a couple of theories from the psychologist that they have on the show. He's not a medical doctor, so I don't know why we ask him these questions about the autopsy, but whatever. But he basically says that, like, depending on the time frame, especially since it was back in the day, we're talking about the 80s, they would put gastroenteritis for a lot of different things when it could be a myriad of other things. And even though they didn't find alcohol and drugs in the room, it doesn't mean that there weren't alcohol and drugs already in his system.
yeah, because pretty much he was pretty much out partying and drinking with the.
That's
Japanese
the
people.
story we get, is that he was
Yeah.
like drinking a lot, eating a lot, and then went back to his room and then wasn't alive. So it could be drug interactions with different things, or it could be that his colon just gave up. So, but they don't know. But his death hits the family very, very hard, especially the brothers. Carrie really struggles with like trying to move forward. But soon after the death of Dave, Fritz's answer to this, to get through this, is to get back on the road, to get back into work again. Kevin reflects later that that probably wasn't the best idea. They probably needed more time to grieve before they got back on the road because it starts domino effect for some other stuff. So after David dies, it's now just Kevin and Carrie at that point, and then their younger brother Mike joins the family business. And according to a lot of people that they interviewed for the documentary, Mike was very lovable, but he it didn't seem like he really wanted to wrestle. Like he can wrestle, he has that natural talent just like his brothers. But he might have wanted to do maybe more stuff in music. But he does the family business because he kind of feels like that's what he's supposed to do. And he does good. He's doing all kinds of different fights at first, but then he starts to act weird. When one of the fights, he gets hurt pretty bad. He has to have shoulder surgery. And after the shoulder surgery, they note that he seems off. Like he'll be staring off into the distance. He has bursts of rage randomly, just these outbursts of rage. There's a story of how like he decided to beat up a traffic light, and then when he finally calmed down from it, he had no idea that he did it and then felt embarrassed about it. And me and Calvin were talking back and forth about what that could be because they show some of his wrestling matches, and they are throwing this man into cement, into the barricades.
This is when they really didn't fake too much.
No, he's going headfirst into posts like CTE. So
that's what I'm saying. This is when they really didn't fake too much.
Yeah.
Like they're running into stuff and hitting their head on stuff.
Yeah.
Because looks like when he hit that pole, either he mistimed it,
right,
or he didn't realize the pole was coming up that fast,
or he didn't know where he was. Because that's the one match we watched. Who knows what he did in the other the other matches? This poor man, and he gets right back into wrestling so soon after his injury. Also, this is a time period where we weren't really looking for head trauma like that at all. So, a little bit later, he gets busted for a DUI and marijuana possession. And a lot of his family members feel like this really hit him hard and like embarrassment for the family. Like he didn't want to be a burden to the family. Shortly after that, like when he was supposed to be indicted. Oh no, that's another brother. But shortly after he gets busted for that, he leaves a suicide note and they find his body near a reservoir. And in his system during the autopsy, they found alcohol and a drug called Placidil, which was basically a depressant. Like it's a sedative, an old sedative that you probably should not mix. So now the family, that they lost Jackie, they lost Dave, and now they've lost Mike, and it hasn't been that long. It's been like a few years between Dave and Mike, and it's just hitting them even harder. Fritz continues to push them to get back in the ring, to get back to work, because that's I think honestly that's what's worked for him. Like distract. I'm just gonna throw everything into work and not think about it. Time passes. Chris, who's the youngest son, who's also the smallest Von Erich, also makes it his decision to get into the ring. It's really noted that Chris struggled with a lot of health issues. He had asthma, and he had asthma in the 70s and 80s.
So they were using all types of stuff to try to cure asthma back in those times.
Well, they heavily relied on a steroid called prednisone, which they still use kind of today, but they had no idea about what the counter effects were for kids. And apparently, if you are on prednisone a lot during your growing ages,
it stunts your growth.
Yeah, it can stunt your growth. It can stunt your muscle development. A lot of things, which is crazy because I was a kid in the 80s and I took a lot of prednisone. So but I have a lot of muscles.
Moving on.
So
sure you do. Moving on. He does not look like a part from that. He's from that family at all.
Yeah, he looks like he's part of the family in the face, but he's so much smaller in stature compared to his brothers. He really is.
His brothers are like 6'1" to maybe 6'5".
6'6". They're tallest. Dave. No, what's his name? Yeah, Dave. Dave was 6'6".
Like from 6'3" to 6'6".
Yeah, they're tall.
245, 250.
Huge
muscles.
And he could only get to. He was like 5'5", a nice 180, maybe 200 if you really pushed it. But he really wanted to be a part of the business, so he used drugs to bulk up and joins the family business, and he wins his first match. And they said that he really loved like the reaction he got, from being in the ring, doing the shows for the public. But he is juggling the pressures of living up to the family name and proving to fans who are calling him the small brother, basically, that he's just as good as his other brothers. In one of his matches, he suffers a major arm break that then results in a massive asthma attack that hospitalizes him. After that, he tries to get back into wrestling, but it's not quite the same because he's dealing with these ailments. Unfortunately, this leads to him shooting himself in the woods near the family property, and he had cocaine and Valium in his system at the time.
If you watch the series, the documentary, when Kevin is it Kevin?
Kevin's the survivor.
Yeah, Kevin talks about it. He goes to meet him up there, and then he tells him, "Go read my note." And for some reason, Kevin leaves, goes to read the note, and then I guess his dad tells him to get back up there fast.
Well, he also was like, I don't need you to be here around me. So he was trying to give his brother some space. Because Chris was also like, I don't want you around right now.
I don't know. But then again, I don't know what I would have done. But
I'm putting into context, they don't know anything about mental health at the time. A lot of the answers to like how do you get over this is just like to get through it for a lot of them.
But I understand. But at the same time too, I've already lost how many 3 brothers at this point?
You've lost 2 brothers at this point, but only one by suicide.
Still, I wouldn't feel comfortable.
I can understand not knowing what you were supposed to do.
But then again, you trust that it'll be okay.
Yeah.
So I guess. But by the time he gets back up there, he finds him dead.
He shot himself, basically. Kevin is almost on hand for almost all of his brothers' deaths, which is really, really sad. So
he lived through all of them.
So sad. Then we get to Carrie. Carrie was like the golden child for them. He was their dad's favorite. If you asked any of the brothers, for whatever reason, Chris Jericho was in love with his face. He's like, think Brad Pitt's face on Arnold Schwarzenegger's body. And I'm like, that's too far. Anyway, but Carrie was the heartthrob. He was the one that all the ladies loved. Part of his walk on was literally making out with them, like just tonguing his ladies down.
He liked it a lot.
And it was like at the behest of his dad promoting him, even though he was married. He was fully married to somebody and had girls with her. Anyway.
He also got to fight Ric Flair for the title, and then won the title from Flair.
It was an international title, yeah.
International
title.
And
he won it from Flair. But he was also like, supposedly he was like the talented wrestler of the bunch. He was like the best.
Pretty much did that in like their main event in the Cotton Bowl in Texas.
Yes. He would also volunteer his time to spend with kids at the hospital. So like he was really making his name for the local area as well as, internationally. He gets into a motorcycle accident where he runs into the back of a police car at a high speed and ends up mangling his foot. Like he gets severe damage to his foot. Already dealing with possible substance abuse because they think he might have been either drinking or doing something when he crashed into that parked police car. He gets on painkillers for the pain of his foot. He also tries to get right back into wrestling shortly after his accident, which ends up doing even more damage to his foot.
He pretty much didn't let his foot heal.
Right. And he ends up having to amputate a good portion of his foot. I think he's left with his heel.
What did he do? How bad was his foot messed up before he tried to stop walking on it again until they went, we can't even save this?
I don't know. But they had to get rid of all his toes.
Boy.
And so they show some stills of him with like crutches. That's him with the prosthetic. That's when they put the partial on his foot.
My thing is, how bad was his foot? Then he tried to walk on it again and pretty much broke it again. How bad was it for them to go, we have to chop this off? now?
First of all, they said after the accident, it looked like a gator bit into it. So it's pretty mangled already.
Okay. Yeah.
And then he shortly after that gets back into the ring. So even if they said it the way that they were talking about, because they said it was basically waving at you from the heel. Like that means so many tendons and everything is tore off for your foot to wave at you. So and then on top of that, wrestling is not light walking. He's running and like they said he was literally walking down the steps to get to the next match, fell and broke his foot again. And that's when they were like, we got to get rid of the foot. The tissue's like is necrotic. We got to give you something else.
And they pretty much heard that from everybody. No one even knew that he had his foot chopped off.
Yeah. And he was very self-conscious about it also. And then shortly after that, he signs with Vince McMahon for the WWF.
So they really don't show any videos or talk about what his name was in the WWF. Pretty much he was Texas Tornado.
Yeah.
And I want to say he won the Intercontinental Championship, but I don't remember.
Well, I mean, he's not there for too long. So
yeah, because at that time you had Hulk Hogan, you had Macho Man, you had Ultimate Warrior, you had so many other superstars, and he was trying to get in. He kind of made it.
Not trying, he made it in.
He made it in. He started to make like a dent, but then he was gone.
They did say that his reaction time after the incident slowed it down a little bit.
Yeah.
So when he used to be super fast, now it's a little bit slower. So yeah, he was with the WWF. He's juggling imposter syndrome, trying to keep this amputation a secret. He's also juggling his substance abuse at this time as well. Things continue to go downhill, and he ends up getting a divorce from his wife. And he ends up basically not having his contract renewed for WWF. And then, a little while later, he gets arrested for cocaine possession while he's with his daughters. Like, they raid his home and detain him and his daughters.
And another wrestler. I think another wrestler brought him the drugs or something they were saying.
I don't even know.
What the daughter was saying is he was with another wrestler or something.
The day he was supposed to be indicted for the drug charges, he starts mentioning that he's suicidal to like family members. His daughter has a story about him just kind of casually saying that he might kill himself. Other relatives talk about it. Kevin realizes that his brother is on the brink. Again, he's got another brother who's about to do something. But by the time he's able to get to him, Carrie's already shot himself.
So Kevin tries to call his dad.
Yeah.
But I guess his dad had a drinking thing at that time where he likes to drink at a certain time. And he called his dad, and his dad said, I can't be bothered right now, and hung up the phone.
Yeah.
So he tries to jump in the car. I don't know if they try to use it that it was raining for dramatization.
Probably, because they weren't there.
So he tries to get to his brother, but like Javon said, by the time he got there, he already shot himself in the chest.
Yeah. Which is sad. Shortly after that, Kevin has a dream about his brothers kind of calling to him from beyond a fence. He's like outside taking care of his animals, and then he hears his brothers on the other side of the fence, and they're like calling him over. And at first he wants to go over there, but then he's like, no, I can't go over there. And he has an epiphany of it being like a moment of like giving up and also kind of taking his life, or moving forward with his life. And he decides to move forward with his life. But he ends up leaving the wrestling business shortly after that. He just stops cold turkey, gets out of it. Years pass. A24 announces that they're doing a movie called The Iron Claw. The family has no idea that this is going out. They found out through social media, like the rest of us, that this was happening. And they found themselves in a situation of like, we could take legal action to try to find out what exactly they're doing this movie, or we could basically like join them. And that's what they end up doing. They end up like joining them. So they're there for the premiere. Kevin gets to meet Zac Efron, who's playing him in the movie. And they have a lot of things to say about the movie, how like it doesn't really portray the family accurately. It really kind of positions Fritz as like the bad guy, this like ultimate, almost like the what's Michael Jackson's dad's name?
Joe Jackson?
Yeah, basically Joe Jackson of the Von Erichs, essentially, just somebody who was like really focused on making a legacy and pushing them in business. And they're like, that's not what he was. Like he was also a very loving man. He really loved his family. Um, Kevin says they kind of combine Chris and Mike's stories together. They don't even include Chris like as his own separate identity in the movie.
They don't even talk about the first brother, do they?
They
The
do.
one that died as a
They
kid?
talk about Dave. Oh, Jack.
Yeah.
No, they do mention Jack in passing because it's part of the curse angle that they have in the movie.
So why him and not Chris?
They talk about it in passing. It's to set the tone for the rest of the film. It's not. They don't really have like a Jack that's in the movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, do they? You said they didn't mention Chris, right?
No, because there's no Chris.
Okay, so I'm not saying that. My thing was, did they mention Jack at all?
Yeah, they mentioned that there's an older brother that passes.
Okay.
But it's literally just in like a prologue. It's not anything.
Yeah, that's cool. I just want to know if they just mentioned him at all or acknowledged him. Yeah.
Anyway.
No, because you said they didn't acknowledge Chris. So I'm like, why would they acknowledge Jack if they don't acknowledge Chris? You get what I'm saying?
They did. Okay, so maybe let me rephrase it. They don't have a separate character casted for Chris. Chris is kind of mentioned through Mike's story because they merged those two stories together.
Okay. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so they didn't mention him.
They don't mention Chris as a separate entity, no.
My thing is,
they show 5 brothers. They show Kevin, they show Dave, they show Carrie.
Yeah, I get that.
They show Mike.
Yeah, I get that, yeah.
No, they just show the 4 brothers. They just show those 4. They mention Jack in the prologue.
Okay.
But they merge Mike and Chris's stories together.
So they acknowledged there were 6 brothers.
They in the movie they acknowledge 5.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. So my whole thing is why acknowledge the first brother that was born, but don't acknowledge the one
because they're trying to set the stage of the curse. So that's why they'll mention Jack as a separate person, but not necessarily mention Chris.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, what doesn't make sense to me is that they did not consult the family at all. Like, this is their tragedy, and they were like, let's just make a movie. I'm gonna make a movie.
I'm not shocked by that.
I am.
That's Hollywood to me.
They really push this as like a new dramatization. We're a serious studio, and they didn't even consult the family. That's crazy.
I'm not shocked by that. I'm just shocked that they referenced one brother, but then combined 2 brothers together.
They were really pushing this Von Erich curse as like this sub storyline for whatever reason.
To me, mentioning Chris would have been adding to the curse. To me, for the story.
But they can't have like a 4-hour movie. You know what I mean?
I get it.
And all they know about Chris is that he took his life. That's for them. That because they did not consult the family. So that's really all they know.
Maybe they didn't even know what happened. Maybe they don't even know he was a wrestler.
They knew he was a wrestler. I just don't think that he was a wrestler long enough. They didn't have enough to talk about Chris.
Okay.
But they had some to talk about Mike.
Okay, sure. Okay.
Because like film footage of like wrestling, there's a lot more of Mike than there is Chris.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. But to me, in my head, that doesn't really make that much sense. But okay. But I'm not a producer in Hollywood, so.
Their whole movie is them talking about this. They made the family look like they came from the sticks and had like nothing to like. They had nothing basically except for wrestling to get them out of the sticks. Yeah, kind of a deal. The dad is painted as a villain. He's painted as somebody who does not care if they're hurt or whatever. They got to do what they got to do. They basically treated them like it's like the Jackson 5 movie, but for wrestling. Okay. And the Jackson 5 have a gazillion family members, but we only learn about the 5.
Yeah, because of the most important 5.
Oh my God, not the most important. Okay, so anyway.
That came out crazy, didn't it?
So Kevin kind of reflects on how like this mentality that they had as a family of like never quit, never give up, work through everything, ultimately did them in. Like there's a toxicity to do whatever you do at any cost because the cost can be you, essentially.
Sure can.
Fritz and Doris end up getting divorced in 92. That's shortly after the loss of Chris. And Fritz ends up dying in 97. Kevin's sons get into the business. They are actually wrestlers with TNA right now, which I did not know. So now I got to go watch these TNA matches so I can see them. Lacey is Carrie's eldest, and she got into WWE. I'm gonna have to look up when she was in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Does her name ring a bell at all?
No.
I wonder if she was around the time of the Divas. I don't know if you remember the Diva run.
Yeah, I remember Diva Run.
I wonder if she's around that time.
I don't remember
her. And also the family was
inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame.
WWE Hall of Fame. And that was the Iron Claw.
What was your biggest takeaway from it?
I was pleasantly surprised at how emotionally rounded Kevin was with all of this. This is a lot of tragedy, non-stop tragedy. And he has a very, I don't want to say positive, but to me, it sounds like he's talked to a professional at some point and he's really regulated his emotions around it. Like his communication around what his brothers went through, not even blaming his father specifically about a lot of the tragedies they suffered, and like being able to take in the full picture for the people that were in this life. I was pleasantly surprised.
I don't know how he survived. I have no idea.
He almost didn't. He had that dream.
I don't know.
It's a lot of loss.
He is a picture or a, I don't know how to say it, but he's a picture of what talking and getting help can do.
Yeah. A prime example. Yeah.
A prime example. And also probably having a good faith background.
Yeah, he has a very strong faith too.
Because this dude lived through all his brothers' death. Like
all of them.
His younger brother died.
All his younger brothers. He's the second eldest.
Yeah.
So they're all younger brothers.
But his oldest brother dying. He was there. Then all the rest of them just falling off at different points of his life.
Yes.
Like, and then a lot of that tragedy was not, it wasn't that much space between a lot of that tragedy. It's like you lost a brother when you were a kid.
Yep.
Fast forward to maybe your teen or adulthood, you lose another brother.
Young adulthood, yeah. And then shortly after that,
Shortly after that, through all
boom.
Through all of your manhood or your
adulthood, yeah.
Your adulthood, your brothers are just dropping. And it's not like health or
freak accidents.
Right. Or age.
Right.
It's death.
Yeah.
It's suicide. Drugs related.
Yeah.
But still kind of like suicide. It's all suicide basically. And he is still here to tell the story.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And has a calmness to tell the story. Like I don't know how he wasn't fully bawling.
Yeah, I would have to have stopped after every story.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need a break.
Yeah.
Then I come back, try to tell another story. I'm like, I need another break.
Yeah.
Because that's insane. That's crazy.
I think my other takeaway is how loved these guys were. Like their kids speak about them so glowingly. Like so glowingly.
Yeah.
And you don't always hear the positives, especially in a industry like wrestling. It's nice to hear about like the softer side of how these guys are. So I liked it. It was pretty good. I did not watch the Housewife one, so we might have to revisit that at a later time. But that was my the watch, The Iron Claw.
All right, moving on to 90 Day Fiance. Who do you want to start with?
90 Day Fiance. I want to start with Mark and Mina because he's an idiot. Or you want to wait? Or you want to save him?
No, we can start with them.
So Mark is dumb.
Episode 9. How deep is your love?
Mark's dumb. This is shortly after the hell trip that Mina was on with his family, where they
North Carolina,
where they all ganged up on her because Mark sucks. And she's like, why do you keep pushing this prenup? And he's like, I thought we resolved this and you're just going to sign it. And she's like, when did I say this? What are you talking about? Clearly, there's a disconnect. Clearly.
So Mark decides, let me give you something else to talk about or worry about.
Let's go to Florida so you can talk to my friend who is best friends with my ex. Nothing bad could happen. So they fly down to Florida.
Yes.
To go meet his, I don't know. I also don't understand his friendship with this woman. I'm confused.
If you didn't hear what she just said, can you repeat what you just said?
They go down to Florida to visit Mark's friend, who is the ex-wife to his friend, and who is also the best friend to his ex-girlfriend.
Jade.
Yes. The other black woman that we know from, that he dated in the show that Jordan also didn't like.
She didn't like Jade?
No.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She was like, he tends to date these women that just want him for his money, and Jade was the example.
But it sounds like to me he just likes buying. Anywho,
so a lot of his story seems to be missing information, because when Mark first talks about Jade, he says that they broke up because he wanted her to sign a prenup that Jordan implemented, and she didn't want to, and that's what broke up their relationship, is what he says. But when Mina meets up with his friend,
Diana,
yes. The first thing Diana teases him about is how fast he moves in his relationships. She's like, "Did he buy you the BMW yet?" And Mina's looking at her like,
"The Maserati?
What? What are you talking about?"
Oh yeah, he bought Jada a BMW after he bought his daughter a BMW.
Right.
And she's like, "I don't have no BMWs."
Right. And then she spills that Mark and Jade moved in together, and that essentially Mark was cheating on Jade when they were living together. And Mina's sitting here like, "What? He told me they never lived together. What's happening?" She
also dropped another gem that Mark was trying to get back with Jade when he was talking to her as well.
Yes.
This lady was just dropping gems and truth bombs. First of all,
is she his friend?
And that's why I said, if this is scripted, Mark didn't get the script.
Nope, he did not.
Because there's no way I can find, if I want to make a interesting little storyline between me and you, I'm gonna get a friend,
right?
That's
third party, not attached to anything.
That's gonna say just certain little things. Right. Nothing that is going to destroy my relationship. or we're gonna sit down and have a conversation about me, and we're gonna sit down and have a conversation. And we're going to talk about, hey, this is how we're going to do this.
Yeah.
This is this, and this. Now, that's going to require you to have both of you to be amazing actors. But that's the only other way. I'm not going to because it seemed like she had a vendetta.
You keep saying that? I didn't feel any pettiness or spitefulness in this.
It seems like she was trying to get one for her friend.
To me, it felt like she was trying to be a girl's girl. Have you heard that saying?
Mm-mm.
There's a whole saying that's become very popular. It's very trendy about being a girl's girl. And what it means is like, you're a woman that looks out for other women. To me, that's what it felt like she was doing with Mina.
Okay.
It felt like she was like, I'm so happy to meet you. Because as she's talking to Mina and in her confessional, she's like, I didn't think I was telling her anything that Mark hadn't already touched on. She's realizing that Mark did not tell her everything.
There's no way she thought Mark told her all of this.
How are they friends? How are they friends is my question.
That's what I'm saying.
When she came out to say hi, I was like, that's the friend? No, wait, what? What? All the friends they've showed of Mark's are old people. And then this lady, I was like, what do you mean? Anyway, but to me, the way it came across in my perspective was her just looking out as like another woman. Like, hey, he's not giving you all the information. Let me give you this. Let me give you that. And then she clinches it with like, okay, let me give you Jade's phone number and you can talk to Jade.
So she gives her Jade's phone number. Oh, by the way, she gets her to buy a bunch of, now Mina's just spending all this dude money in her store.
You wanted her to. I distinctly remember you being like, I hope she gets all his money.
I'm not upset by it.
Okay.
The Diana, she played her cards right. Get her upset so we can talk like girls. Girl, this look good on you, girl.
But the clothes were cute though. I'm not gonna lie. Clothes were cute.
Mina buys a lot of things and leaves. They get back in the car, and now they're talking.
Yes, but it's not long lived.
And Mark is shocked that she's asking all these questions about Jade, and that Diana revealed all this information.
Mina's like, yeah, Diana told me that I was a substitute for Jade. It's Mark being like, you're not a substitute for Jade. She's like, that you were talking to Jade while you're still talking to me. And he goes, I don't.
Forgot that she told her that she was a substitute for Jade.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot.
They showed the pictures. They showed the pictures side by side.
Yeah, I forgot that. That's even more burn.
It's so crazy.
So, and Mark is like, I don't know why Diana would say that. That's not true.
He's like, I love you. I don't love Jade. I've been with Jade in years. And it's like, that's not the right answer.
And she's like, he's like, I didn't try to propose to Jade. And she was like, Jade probably said no anyway because you were cheating on her.
Right. And then he goes, I'm not talking about this anymore. If you want to keep talking about it, whatever, I'm not talking about it anymore. And gets out the car. It's like, all right.
So they go in the house.
She changes,
comes back out. He's like, where you going looking all nice?
And she, calmly and with no snarkiness to CJ.
With a straight face. This are like, sometimes you just need to lie.
Diabolical.
But if you don't know anything about Europeans and foreigners, they don't really know how to
She's
lie.
She's French. I don't think it's a situation of not lying. She's just being like,
they're very blunt.
It is what it is.
Yeah, they're very blunt. So
you don't want to give me the full story. You told me you're not talking anymore. So I'm going to go talk to Jade.
She said, I'm going to talk to Jade. And he goes, that's pretty much what he does.
He just stares. He just stares into the distance. He's dumb. He's dumb, though.
And we leave it at that with Mark and Mina.
We leave it at that. Let's talk about Greg and Joan real quick because they didn't have a whole lot. We see Greg and Joan again, and it's Joan trying to work out. She's like, I am gaining weight out here, and I need to make sure I can fit into my wedding dress.
She went from 105 pounds to 110 pounds. Okay.
Listen, she just wants to stay healthy. And so they're working out, and she's talking to Greg about whether or not he's working. For whatever reason, Greg is butthurt that she threatened to go back to Uganda if he didn't get a job. I don't know why he's shocked at this. She was the director of a company. To come here to not work and live with your mom? Why would you? Anyway, doesn't matter. He's upset, but he's like, I went ahead and got a job.
Now she has to ration sex when she didn't have to ration sex before.
Who knows? So now he's like, well, I have an interview. And she's like, great. I hope you don't mess it up. And he gets hurt all over again. And
then she tells him, if you don't have this job within 2 weeks, I'm leaving.
And I don't falter. I don't falter.
Well, it might take at least a month. She's like, well, you got a month.
I don't falter. She's like, we need money. Neither one of us are working. I legally can't work. What do you want to do? And they just kind of leave it at that. Maddie and Stevie, I am feeling so bad for Maddie at this point. Like, I don't think this man understood what he was getting into at all.
So Stevie and Maddie go to meet her friends, Megan and Adam.
For a double date.
And
they go glass blowing.
They go glass blowing, which is cool. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't mind trying that. But this is not about me. It's about them. So pretty much she tells Megan that she's having second thought. Well, that Maddie's homesick and she doesn't know they're going to get married or not because she can't marry somebody who's
not 100%.
100%. But then she pretty much says she's not even 100% anymore. Yeah. So I don't understand why it's just Maddie's now and not her too. She's just putting the blame on him.
She's saying she's not sure because he's not sure. That's why she's that's how she's rationalizing this.
Sure. So, and Adam and Maddie have a conversation, and Adam just tells him, "Hey, you just got to make sure you got
to validate her,
and make sure you're understanding of her needs and how she feels, and making her feel a little bit more comfortable,
a little more like confirmed,
assured." And he goes, sure.
No, he goes, okay, I understand that. And then he starts talking about how he wants to re-propose to Stevie because apparently she didn't like his proposal in Turkey. And I'm wondering what he did as a proposal in Turkey.
Can't be any worse than anybody else we know.
I'm confused about maybe it was like a business transaction. Like I don't know what she was expecting, but whatever. He's trying to redo it. He ends up going to a monster truck rally with her dad. And he's just like, I don't know what to do with this. It's super loud. The trucks really aren't doing what he thought they were going to be doing. They're just circling and jumping over a little bump in the middle of the venue.
Yeah, because that venue's not that big.
He's just like, okay, I thought there'd be a little more to this. It feels like a 1950s activity.
So basically, I don't think he's kind of understanding what her dad is saying, but he's missing a lot because her dad talks like Boomhauer from King of the Hill.
Her dad also is like he's saying some really sly disses to Maddie.
Yeah. Yeah. I caught some of them. Yeah.
Yeah. He's being pretty racist and disrespectful. So, but at the same time, Stevie did not set up Maddie to be seen as like this good guy. She's complaining to anybody who will listen about how he has doubts and is missing home. And like I feel like missing home is normal, but whatever. To Stevie, it is an affront to her character. So Maddie's talking to Stevie's dad, and he's like, I want to propose to her. I brought a ring, from Iran, and I love your daughter.
That's a nice little ring right there.
Stevie's dad goes, how long have you guys been like the same room?
I don't think y'all guys should be together.
And he's like, well, for like a week in Turkey, and that was last year. And then, now that I'm here in the States for like these last 2 weeks. And it's very clear that Stevie's dad has reservations about Maddie moving forward in his proposal to Stevie. I don't know if that stems from Stevie's stories to the family about how Maddie has been talking about going back home.
That is
racism or just his daughter.
It's all of it.
I guess.
She presented him
poorly.
On a trash can lid.
Poorly. So, but he ends up giving his blessing to Maddie. He ends up saying, yeah.
She presented him like trash to the family.
First of all, they had no idea he existed, and then he just showed up. And then the second thing out of her mouth was, yeah, he's telling me he wants to go home. Girl. Anyway.
Shekinah and Sopper.
I don't care about their storyline.
They have 72 days to get married or whatever. So Shekinah finally sets it up for Sopper to meet her daughter.
Which is what we talked about last episode. Last episode, they spent the entire episode building up how Sopper was going to meet Sophie. And then he never did. And now he finally does. And we still don't really see them talk.
At first Sopper tries to do some stand-up routine, and I guess because he's trying to be a comedian.
No, it was supposed to help him like distract from his nerves.
Oh, okay.
He didn't say I want to be a comedian. He says I just like being on the stage.
Oh, so then they finally, after he does that, and she does not laugh at all, they get together. They leave to go meet Sophie. Pretty much, Sopper has set up a whale watching tour.
They didn't watch any whales. They got seasick and stayed downstairs.
So they get on the ship. Once they get out to sea, the ship starts literally almost doesn't roll.
It's just rough waters.
Sopper, they go back. First they get splashed. I can't believe that they get splashed in the middle of the ocean by
water.
By water and waves, and that is cold.
Who knew?
They go back in. Now they starting to feel sick, and Sopper sits down, gets a bag, and he just lets it go.
No, we don't need these play-by-plays. You see how there's nothing to their storyline?
Awesome.
There's nothing to their storyline.
They kind of talk, and pretty much Sopper just they get back to the pier, and Sopper, they pretty much kind of talk, and Sopper lets her know, like, hey, I'm not the same man I was that met your aunt. I'm working on me. I'm trying to be this person. So Sophie's like, she's kind of see that he's changed a little bit, but she's still not ready to give her blessing.
Mm-hmm.
So we did all that to learn that Sophie's not ready to give her blessing.
It just for what? For nothing.
And that's pretty much it.
Aaliyah and Sean continues to not be shit. I don't understand why he's with Aaliyah. I really don't understand at this point.
Aaliyah goes to meet her friend Jackie to put together flowers for, I guess, the wedding.
They were supposed to get ideas. They were making their own bouquets, but they were just supposed to get ideas.
They pretty much talk about Aaliyah's sex life and how Sean is taking it with her new transition and everything.
They talk about her sex life because she has a lot of body dysmorphia, and being intimate like that is a lot for her.
Then Jackie asks, and she asks, what do you want to do? And Aaliyah says she might want some boobs. And she's like, how is Sean going to feel about that? And pretty much Aaliyah lets her know that Sean is still kind of not on board with her transition.
Yeah, he doesn't like talking about any of her changes like that at all. And Jackie's looking at her friend like, you want to marry him? Okay.
And she's like, how what? I don't understand how she's confident that this is going to last or anything.
Mm-hmm.
What if he doesn't like your transition?
Clearly he doesn't. That's what we're learning.
Well, it's clearly not if he doesn't. Clearly he doesn't. We know that.
He keeps talking about like how if she keeps doing these changes, he doesn't know if they can stay together. And it's like, sir, what? Anyway.
So then moving on, Jackie comes over to the house And they pretty much give her the tour. And then they sit down, have a couple of drinks, and they start pretty much having a conversation. She asks Sean, when is the wedding?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I don't know if I want to have the wedding.
No, she was saying like, what's the timeline you guys want to do, and or what would be your best case scenario? And that's when Sean's like, best case scenario, we wouldn't have one. We wouldn't have a wedding. And then that's when Jackie's like, well, then why are you getting married? Why are you getting married then?
Because I have to.
And he basically gives this long story about how, like, in order for them to be together, he wasn't going to move to Brazil, but Aaliyah was open to moving to the U.S. Her coming over on a student visa wasn't going to work. Her coming over on a travel visa wasn't going to work. So K-1 visa was the only other way for that to make it happen. But Jackie's like, why do you want to why do you want to marry her then?
He's like, I don't know. And then he says something like, I've only been with Aaliyah for like 4 months.
Well, he says that I want to say he was with Douglas for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And only Aaliyah with for a few months. And then she's like, well, what do your kids think of all of this? And he's like, I haven't told them.
And that's when the conversation pretty much kind of dies.
Ugh. He's the worst. Anyway.
There were no Juan and
no Juan, Jessica and Megan. No.
This time.
So, but we can talk about Ani, and Matt.
I think that's the last one, right?
Yeah. Amani stays a mess is what happens. She's still reeling from the horrors of the night before, where Ani did not validate her the way she wanted her to validate her, even though she did validate her later, but then she questioned that validation because she thought Ani's motives were shaky.
So
she a mess. So Matt wakes up and he's kissing on her. Ani has spent the night on the couch, and Amani pleads with Matt to take her with him to go get breakfast. And it's like, it's not that big of a... Anyway, they go get breakfast, and she's having a conversation with Matt. And she's just like, how do you feel about everything that happened the night before? And Matt basically tells Amani exactly what she wants to hear.
And then she's like, you don't love her? You don't love Ani? He's like...
That's way later.
Oh. I'm sorry.
Basically, Matt's going on and on about how he, too, feels that Ani's not taking their relationship seriously and hasn't claimed them, and they're supposed to be meeting her parents, and he doesn't know how invested he can be in somebody who doesn't want to be that invested in them. Yada, yada, yada.
So they go back to the hotel. They bring Ani food. Ani's sitting there eating, and she's like, I guess they start having a conversation, and Ani's like, you're just too much drama. You need to relax.
You have a lot of explosions.
You just need to relax.
And I agree with her. You can't have a conversation with somebody who's just going to not talk.
She's like, it takes time.
That part is vague.
She's under presumption that Ani doesn't want to tell her family because she's in a relationship with a female. I think that's partial, but I don't think that's the full thing. The full thing is, hey, I'm in a relationship with 2 other people, with a married couple.
Let's put this back into context. Her family more than likely is Catholic. When that taxi driver or the Uber driver was joking with them and saying they're getting out the rosaries, that's Catholic.
I don't think I'm pretty sure they are Catholic.
And if that's the case, marriage in a Catholic religion, it's held to a high esteem. Her being the outsider to an already married couple doesn't do well. She's already a single mom. She's already a dancer. Like, there's already quote unquote dings in terms of how her family views her. So to add on top of that, bisexual and a throuple, it's a lot. They also still haven't even introduced their kids to each other. So on the one hand, I get Ani being like, we don't need to move this fast. You guys can meet my family. We can take it slow because they're a certain way. But Amani's not having it. She's not having it.
Oh.
She's on this big to-do of like, she's trying to hide me. She's feeling like she's ashamed of me. And it's like, is it that? Is it those things?
It's hard to kind of introduce your family to a throuple.
Let alone your girlfriend. Anyway.
That's what I'm saying.
It's just a lot.
I don't think she gets that part.
But the other part I don't think she gets is that whatever fallout happens, they're not experiencing it. Ani is. They go home after this. They go back to San Diego.
And they don't have to come back if they don't want to.
Exactly. Ani lives in Mexico. She lives there. Anyway. But whatever. So they kind of come to an agreement of like she's sorry that she's not taking the relationship as serious as they want her to, and she's gonna move forward in that. But she does need some time. They do ask her like, what is the time frame then for that? Because we're supposed to be meeting your family pretty soon, and she doesn't really give them an answer. And then later we get the cutaway to like what's supposed to be like present day of them, and it's Matt and then Ani in the middle and Amani on the side. And that's when Amani's asking Matt, like, I'm feeling really hurt. As she's reflecting, she's like, I'm feeling really hurt because I really love this girl. And Matt's like, yeah, I really care about her. And that's when she's like, you don't love her? And Matt's like, in terms of love, like, the love I feel for you isn't the same that I'm going to feel for Ani. And to me, it just reiterated and re-cemented that Matt's just here. He's just here.
Yeah. And it's like Amani looked at him like she can't believe it. I'm like,
Amani keeps putting out there that her and Matt need to be on the same page and need to be feeling the same things. That's not how humans work. Humans don't work like that. They don't feel the exact same things at the same time. In the same way. Confused.
If I tell you to, you do.
I guess according to Amani. According to Amani, that's what's supposed to be happening. So that's where they left it. Eventually they're supposed to be meeting Ani's family. But the preview for next week, they're meeting her ex-boyfriend. They're meeting Ani's ex-boyfriend, who knows her as Brenda.
Yeah, who knows? And I think is the reason he knows that Brenda because the way he looks crazy. So I can.
Is he a boyfriend? He looked like a bookie. You know what I mean? Like he did like somebody she owed money to.
I actually think that's what he might be. He might be the owner of the strip club.
Something. He looked like somebody that she owes money to.
Yeah.
Very interesting and bizarre. And I think that's it. I think that's all the couples.
Yeah, that's all. Moving on to Love During Lockup. Season 6, episode 5, Gangsta, Prince Charming. I don't know what the hell that means.
It was for Julius.
Really?
That's Ashley says it to Julius. He's like a gangster Prince Charming.
Well, I knew she took that back.
Nothing charming about this man.
She took that back as soon as after he opened his mouth. Let's start there.
Okay.
Start with Ashley and Julius.
Yes. Julius has figured out how to ditch Alexis without her asking too many questions. And he's visiting Ashley for the first time. And he gets there, and it's the most lackluster meet. It
goes downhill.
Fast.
It's only uphill for like the first 2 seconds.
He has the audacity to be like, she sent me some pictures and stuff, and she doesn't exactly look like her pictures. She's a little thicker. But, it's okay. And then later he's like, I don't have any attraction to her. Alexis is like a high standard for me, and Ashley's like at the bottom. And it's like, okay. But the real issue is that he feels that Ashley's doing too much.
When she's really nervous. First of all, she's way too excited.
She's nervous, but he feels like she's expecting too much of him. And she's like, what?
The expectation that she's expecting out of him is to be in a relationship where he said they're going to be together.
Yeah, he's like, I love you, we're together. And then he's like, I never said those things.
So pretty much after the goofiness wears off of her being excited he's there, they sit down and talk. She's like, so are we together? Are we in a relationship, right? And he goes, no.
He goes, I never said any of that.
I never said any of that. She's like, what do you mean?
But then has the audacity to call her babe. What? Get away.
So now she's hurt.
And she leaves her own room.
Like a lot of times.
She leaves her own hotel room.
She leaves. He's sitting on the bed texting. Who knows who he's texting?
He stayed on that phone. He stayed glued to that phone.
She comes back to the room. She's mad. They're talking. And he's like, yeah, I don't. So she's like, so when you weren't with me earlier, you were with some other girl? He's like, yeah.
Didn't give no qualm about it.
And I'm sitting there like, why is he still here?
Right. Kick him out.
She leaves again.
Upset. She's like, he's a liar. He led me to believe all this stuff. And then he has the audacity to be like, well, girl, you were never in my corner. I don't owe you anything. And she's like, I just didn't send you money. And he's like, yeah, you didn't hold it down for me. You weren't loyal. Nigga, leave. Get out of here. You gotta go.
I'm glad she didn't send him anything. So while she's gone running down a hotel, Mariah Carey sliding down a wall somewhere, he decides to go down the stairs and go. I don't know where he went at that point.
His next girl? I don't know.
And that's it for Ashley and Julius, I guess.
Listen, I'm excited for the previews for next week. There's some hints that Alexis is finally going to get some answers about who he's stepping out with. But they also showed a clip of him with another girl. Who's that girl?
Probably the girl he met at the money he got from Alexis to go to the studio and make a stupid track or something.
Who knows?
Okay, look, they were in a music studio.
It did look like it.
Will and Courtney. If you don't know, Will and Courtney was the new couple introduced last week, right?
Yes, introduced last week. Will is the programmer who created a dating app for furries. He also does IT work. And he loves Courtney, who is almost 9 years younger than him.
So now she's out in there in the car, I guess, going back to the hotel.
Well, no, they're going to the it's not the judge house. What's it called? The courthouse?
Parole.
Yeah, the PO people.
The PO people.
She got to do her check-in.
She complains about her nails and her eyebrows while they're driving.
Why is that a detail?
I don't know. Her mom and dad pretty much... her and her mom has a kind of tumultuous relationship. Yeah, it's very tenuous. So she has the secret that she hasn't told her mom.
She got warrants.
So she gets to the PO office, lets her mom know that, hey, I got warrants and I might be extradited to Washington.
Her mom lives in Washington. She's like, the reason I can't parole with you is because I got these warrants.
That's when she made it known she can't parole with her mom in Washington because she has warrants.
Right.
Her mom goes, really? And she asks, Will, do you know about this? Will said, yeah, she didn't want me to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes in, prays, and I guess God answered her prayers. They say, this is now extraditable.
Yeah, the warrants aren't extraditable. It's something she's going to have to take legal action with.
But eventually you're going to have to face or do something with.
When she said, I thought they would just go away, I was confused. I don't know, no warrants that work that way.
Once again, that's that white hope.
I was lost.
So,
anywho.
They leave there.
Mm-hmm.
They're on their way. She pretty much wants pizza and penis. That's what she says.
She wants a shower. She wants a shower, pizza, and penis.
And she wants to go bowling.
In that order.
So she wants to go take a shower, but before they go take a shower, he's like, let's stop at the biggest Christmas tree I've ever seen.
It's raining, by the way. It's cold and raining. And she's like, no, I want to go to the hotel. And he's like, let's just go.
So he pulls over, even though it sounds like a hostage situation. He just made her go. They get in front of the tree and he proposes to her.
Yeah.
She says yes.
Yeah.
But then there's a sidebar with her asking, do you really want to marry him or do you think you guys will make it? She goes,
I don't know.
I don't know.
Right.
I'd rather try than not try or something she said.
Yeah, basically.
Like,
basically.
Get her done. That's pretty much what she said.
It's not well. It's not good. The mom is upset because she's kind of like, this is moving really fast. And she knows her daughter, and she has her concerns and hesitancies about, her daughter's past. Her daughter tends to do a lot of things without thinking ahead. So she's like, between him being the type of guy she never usually dates, now this proposal that's on there, her current warrants that are in the wind, like there's a lot going on. She's like, I don't know about this.
And then we have Brooke and JK.
Mm-hmm.
They're still at the parole office and and she's still waiting. She's waiting for, I don't know, 2-3 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
On JK to come out. She starts to go in like JK mom says to get him, but then she gets scared because there's a lot of people there. And so she turns around and leaves out. So maybe 15 or 20 minutes later, JK comes out. And JK pretty much lets it be known that he got a 2-hour extended curfew to be able to stay out later. So now they leave. They're on their way to JK's grandma's house. They get to his grandma's house, and he tells Brooke to wait outside. And Brooke is like, I just waited almost 2-3 hours for you at the PO office outside. You mean to tell me I get to your grandma's house and I can wait outside again? JK goes in and talks to his grandma. The reason he wanted her to wait outside is because the grandma had a lot of questions about Alex. That she wanted to know what was going on with Alex and why he's not with Alex or Alex not there with him.
Who's Alex, Calvin?
Alex is another female that I guess he met while he was in jail. who I guess was taking care of his mom or helping take care of his mom when his mom got sick.
She was a girlfriend.
Apparently, he got upset with her because she was cheating on him, even though he was talking to another person too.
Yeah.
So I guess she wasn't faithful.
You're right. She wasn't loyal.
So that's why he's with.
I don't think that's why he's with Brooke, but it's why they broke up.
That's why he's with Brooke.
I think he would have been with Brooke while he was with Alex.
Sure. I don't know.
I don't think I can't be in a relationship because I'm already in one type of person.
Whatever. Tomato. I don't we see what happens. So now Brooke is furious. She calls her mom, is like, I just waited 3 hours for this dude at the PO. Now I'm waiting outside his grandma's house and he won't let me come in with his grandma to meet his grandma. Finally, him and his grandma come out. His grandma introduces herself. They talk. Then all of a sudden a truck pulls up. We thought it was Alex. No, it was his cousin John.
Best friend, yeah.
John. And John's like, I had to come see you when you got out. Pretty much John did some time in jail too.
Did 10 years.
And he's just happy to see his cousin home. They go off to talk a little bit and he asks John to use his phone so he can call Alex.
And he says he has to call Alex to make sure she doesn't show up to his little party, which is weird.
So he calls Alex to tell Alex, I just want to call to make sure you don't show up to my party because I don't want no drama.
But then he's like, text me on my cousin's phone.
If you want to get to me so I can get away to come see you.
Why?
That's a good question.
Okay.
We get back. Alex goes back. Brooke, JK goes back to the table with Brooke and the grandmother. They decide it's time to leave. So they leave. And now, I guess he's close to his curfew and they're supposed to go meet
her kids.
Brooke's kids. But he's like, it's too close to my curfew. I don't want to chance it.
Yeah.
Let's just go, I guess, home?
Yeah. He's like, let's go home. Because like, it's an hour away.
Because he's like, nah. She's like, nah, we're supposed to meet my boys. We need to go meet the boys. She's like, I can't. Will you want me to go back to jail?
Right.
I can't go.
I can't be a minute late.
Yeah. So let's just tell them we'll meet them tomorrow. She's like, no, I just can't tell the boys we meet them tomorrow and whatever. He's like, then what do you want me to do? You want me to go to jail? She's like, I don't care what you do. So pretty much
he gets out the car.
We leave them with him getting out the car, calling her a bitch and walking off. Where do you want to go from here? Let's go to Michael and Joey.
Okay.
Joey's probably back in jail.
Most likely. Because one of the clips is him back behind those bars. More than likely.
They leave the halfway house and go to meet Joey's mom. They get to Joey's mom's. Joey runs to his mom, hugs her, and they're crying. I don't know why they're crying. I know why the mom's crying. I don't know why he's crying.
You mean Michael?
What?
Michael runs to his mom?
No, Joey runs to.
Joey is the beleaguered boyfriend.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Michael
right.
is the one that got out of jail.
You're right. I'm sorry. Michael runs to his mom and gives her a hug and cries. I think he cried because he knows he's going back to jail. He knows it's inevitable.
It's a matter of time, right?
He knows it's inevitable, and he knows he's going back. So I think he was crying because his mom was crying because he knows he's not going to live up to his end of the bargain.
Yeah.
So his mom basically tells him, hey, I need you to stay out of trouble. You know, we missed you. We need you. And he's like, I need to be around because my mom's sick. She hurt herself. I need to be able to take care of her because my sisters got their own thing going on. They got families and whatever. And I need to be there for mom. I don't know why he said that because we all know he doesn't care. But hey, whatever makes yourself feel good.
Right.
Mike, they leave Mike's mom's house and Mike leaves a message for the PO to, I guess, try to get
to spend the night with Joey.
To be able to spend the night.
Because he's supposed to check into the halfway house / what is it called? Sobriety?
Sobriety house or whatever.
Sober living.
Sober living. They get to the hotel and I guess he gets a text from the PO saying it's okay.
It was real sketchy.
It was very sketchy.
It was real shady. Then he was like, oh yeah, I got the green light. We're good to go.
And he's like, I need to go back to the halfway house and let them know or whatever.
Suspect.
Is he going to the halfway house?
No, he had to go back. He had to check in at the sobriety place still. So to say that he was going to be spending the night.
I guess he went to check in and let them know that my PO said I can spend the night with him or whatever. I don't have to be here. I don't think he's going straight back anyway.
I don't think he went to the sobriety house. Anyways.
Me neither. That's what I don't know what's going on. I don't think he even went to the sobriety house.
I think he met up with somebody. I'm pretty sure.
He gets in the car, and Joey doesn't want to go.
Does he have a license?
Another thing that doesn't make sense. You people
questions.
Questions. You people in love that gives your car to people who probably shouldn't be driving is amazing to me. It's astounding to me how people in love just don't care about nothing they have.
Especially these people who just got out of jail. You're gonna let them drive illegally? Cool.
You just don't care about your car. You don't care about
their legal status.
Nothing. You just don't care. You just all in love. Love just makes you do stupid things. I guess
so.
So he leaves Joey at the hotel because Joey's like, I'm tired. I don't want to feel like doing all this. And Michael pretty much lets the producer and everybody know that he's probably not going to be out there long. And
in the free world, nope.
That's where we leave it at.
Yeah.
Him letting know that he's going to be...
Countdown
to him. Possibly going back to jail.
Yeah.
Savannah and Bradley.
I feel like they could have had their own show. There's a lot here. Yes.
Apparently no one in Bradley's family really likes Savannah.
Which is what his sister said.
Oh, it seems like she's a lot of drama. She's too much. So he has another assistant who name is Caddy. And she
does not like Savannah.
Savannah. Because Savannah's too much. So they get to the party and everybody's there. He says hi to all his friends, his sister. What's his sister's name? Alyssa. And
Alyssa was there?
Yeah, Alyssa was there already. So he's sitting there talking, and finally Caddy, his sister, walks in. He hugs her, kisses her, and that's when Savannah and Alyssa go off and talk and have a conversation and try to find out how each other is doing.
Alyssa, not Caddy?
No, Alyssa.
First, okay.
Yeah. So Caddy and Bradley go off and to have a conversation. And he asks her how he's doing, how's the relationship going, and pretty much tells her that Savannah's being too much. She's
not letting me do this or that.
She's being very controlling and all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, I don't want you to have a setback. She's like, nah, I'm not going to have a setback, but yeah, she's doing too much. Yeah. So while this is going on, Savannah and Alyssa are talking, and Alyssa asking Savannah how she's doing. And that's when Alyssa let it be known that Caddy and Bradley are very close.
Yeah.
And Caddy sees herself as a protector for Bradley.
Yeah.
And I guess Alyssa is the black sheep of the family.
Yeah.
And like how, and she tells Savannah, maybe you need to talk to Caddy alone, one-on-one, to see where she's at, and let her know that you're good and that Bradley's going to be fine. She's like, yeah, I should. She's like, yeah, you should. So they go back to the party. Bradley and Caddy go back to the party. Caddy's at the bar by herself. Everybody's doing a toast or whatever. So Savannah goes over to the bar to talk to Caddy. And it starts off cordial. Then it goes downhill from there. And not so many words. Caddy's like, you're too much, you're drama, you're controlling. And I don't think that's where my brother needs to be right now.
What do you think they mean by she's too much? What has she shown his family? We know she's too much because we've seen how she is with Bradley. But what do you think his family saw?
Sounds like she has an anger.
Is it anger or just an emotional outburst situation?
She has emotional issues and she can't control her emotions.
I wonder if it's emotions or if it's tied to some of this jail time that we've been hearing about.
That too. I think it's everything.
Here's my theory. My theory is Savannah got real reckless because she talks about how she had addiction issues.
Yeah.
She got real reckless with Alyssa.
Yeah.
And she also knew Bradley at this time.
Yeah.
My theory is she might have a little to do with Bradley serving his time and a lot to do with Alyssa serving her time.
Yeah.
His family knows this, and that's why Caddy's like, you're the most.
Yeah, I don't think Bradley knows it.
does.
I don't think Bradley knows the full story.
I think so. Well, one, he told her to stop hanging out with his sister Alyssa. Like that. He didn't want her to keep doing that, and she did.
More like he don't want her to hang with Alyssa because Alyssa's too much, not that she's too much.
No, I think it's because Alyssa is also doing the most.
They're not good together.
That part. I think it's that part. They're not good together.
But still, I don't think he knows that she was maybe the reason why Alyssa was in jail.
I feel like he kind of does know.
I don't think he knows. To me, if he knows that, then why?
Here's my theory.
Kind of taking her side.
I think
her sister.
At the height of what is her face? Savannah's addiction issues, her and Alyssa were going wild. I think Alyssa took it a step farther, and Savannah just happened to be like, "Nah, I'm not gonna go that route," and Alyssa got scooped up. They were both living recklessly, but Alyssa gets caught essentially. And I also kind of wonder if that was a similar situation with like Bradley, because even though he's not as wild in emotions as his sister, was it a situation where like he was in a place where she needed him to be, but he wasn't supposed to be there, and that's how he got caught up?
I don't know, but Caddy makes it known to Savannah that she doesn't trust her and she doesn't think she's emotionally stable for her brother.
I would love to know why. I want to know why. What is the story? Clearly, there's a story. You pointed out, they're like, everybody keeps saying that she's too much.
Yeah.
What is happening?
So they pretty much ended on that.
What is Bradley's friend's name? I want to call him John B. Jr.
No, I think it's Mike.
I just like that he was like trying to check in with her. Like, how you doing with all this?
So Caddy leaves and they go back to the party, and that's where we leave them at.
Yep.
And the final couple, I think, is
Kiana
and Demondrick.
I also find this hilarious because it is so convoluted.
So we start the scene or episode with Kiana getting ready to go to the barbecue, and basically on her way to go to the barbecue, but first she has to stop to the halfway house to pick up Demondrick.
Yeah.
I guess that's his last week at the Safeway house?
Yeah.
Halfway house?
Yep.
So she goes to pick him up. She picks him up. He's happy. And then she just decides to let him drive.
Yep. Because she wants to play house.
Sure.
She wants to be hubby and wifey.
They get to the barbecue, and
all hell breaks loose.
They're fine. Then Jawala.
Not for long. Yeah, Jawala.
Jawala shows up.
She's the baby mama. She has 3 of his 6 kids, but she only brings 2.
And
Kiana doesn't want it. She's like, why is she also here? Bring the kids, sure, but why do you got to be here? And it's like, because she's the mom.
Yeah. I'm like, she's not going to drop with the kids and leave. She's going to stay. I knew that was happening.
But to Kiana's defense, when she does get there and everything starts popping off the way it was popping off, Demondrick was next to her for a long time. For a long time.
We find out that even Demondrick's family has an issue with Jawala because she didn't bring the youngest.
Apparently, this is not the first time she hasn't brought the youngest. And the way it's been phrased is kind of like they see it as her being manipulative to Demondrick. Like, why are you stringing this out like this? He wants to see all of his kids. Why not bring all of his kids? And she's like, well, the youngest one's with my mama. And they're like, are we never going to see him? Is what they say. Like, we never get to see Kyrie, which is the youngest.
So, after that uncomfortable conversation, Demondrick comes over to make sure she's all right, and they're just talking.
But then the production crew asked her if she would ever get back with him. And she said yes.
Of course she said yes. She's
still in love with him.
Javon, there's no one else.
And she hopes that one day they can get back together and be a family.
There's no one else, Javon. There's no one else. No one wants a woman with 3 kids.
You keep saying that. I don't think that's true. I know plenty of person who has gotten into a relationship with somebody who has multiple children.
Well, none of them live where they are.
I don't think that's true.
Sure, whatever. Anywho, that's when Kiana starts to feel some type of way because he's standing by Jawala.
There's a lot of history between the 3 of them. Jawala
so long
is somebody that Demadrick cheated on her with more than once, resulting in his 3 children.
Is it really cheating on you if he is the same? If he keeps going back to the same person? If you guys have argument or fight?
If we're in a relationship and then you sleep with somebody who's not me, yeah.
Maybe the first 2 times. The third time, I think they weren't together. I think the third time they weren't together.
So they were on a break?
Yeah, let's just stop this. I think maybe the first time.
You can make that assertion, but he agrees that he did step out on her more than once with Jawala. He also agrees to that.
Yeah, so twice. The third time, they weren't together.
I get Kiana's point, though, of like, he just got out of prison. Yeah, I got to share you, but at the same time, like, I want to feel validated that, you know, I'm the one that you're choosing, because he's chosen Jawala over her.
How about you go validate yourself?
Once.
How about you go validate yourself with somebody else?
I get that too. Because that would make the most sense.
You're never gonna feel like the one, because she's always gonna be there.
But I have more questions, because
and the fact that she wants to be there now sounds like she's always gonna be there.
She always wanted to be
That's
there.
the thing. She's always gonna be there.
Well, but they also have the kids. She is always gonna be there. They got the kids. But my question is like more towards Demadrick. Like, what does he gain by being in the middle like this? He keeps saying he doesn't like the drama. He's trying to avoid the drama, but at the same time, he's not doing anything to mitigate this drama.
He gains legs. He always has some legs to climb between when one leg doesn't want him.
So why is he gonna propose to Kiana? If his goal is just to be with legs, he could do that. Why just propose?
To string her along even more.
I guess it is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking at this point. But Demadrick gets mad at Kiana because the longer Jawala's there, the longer she's like, I gotta go. I gotta walk away. I gotta do something. So she goes to take a walk, and he's like, what's your problem now? What you doing? She's not bothering anybody. It's not that big of a deal. If she wants to visit my daddy's house, she can visit my daddy's house. She has my children. And it's Kiana being like, okay, whatever, cool. I'm gonna take my walk. I'm out. And he's like, no, we gotta talk about this. What do you want? What do you want? So I don't understand what's gonna happen here. Kiana's delusion that he's gonna somehow separate Jawala from his children is never gonna happen.
At all.
Jawala's delusion that he's somehow gonna kick out Kiana entirely and be with her to be a happy family is never gonna happen. Demadrick's delusion that somehow he can keep both these girls on the burner, also not gonna happen. It's very confusing.
No, it can happen.
Not in a calm way. He doesn't want the drama to associate with it.
Well,
he wants them just to be cool with each other.
Well, no, that's the delusional part. But can he keep both of them on the lead? Yes. Because one has 3 kids. She's not going anywhere.
You keep making it sound like she's lost all value because she has 3 kids.
She lost all value because she believes she's lost all value.
Oh, my God.
She believes that.
I don't think it's that she believes she's lost all value. I think it's that she's pinned her hopes on this, for whatever reason, this man.
Okay. To me, you've given up.
I don't know.
Yes, to me,
you can't give up if you didn't know you could. You know what I mean? Like, you can't.
Whatever you want to call it. Whatever you think that is, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, she's invested a lot of time with the school and his family.
And for Kiana to think he's gone back to this girl 3 times. At least 3 times.
The 2 boys are twins, though.
At least 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And when he doesn't go to her, he goes to somebody else.
Yeah, because he got other kids.
Exactly.
He has 6 kids.
He hasn't picked you in 10 years. What makes you think this year is going to be any different?
So apparently he picks her, wanders. That's what's been going on and off for the last 10.
Like I said.
Well, no longer. Because he said he met her when he was 16, she was 13.
Like I said.
Something real gross.
Like I said.
And they're almost in their 30s now?
He doesn't want to be with her.
I think he does.
No, he doesn't.
He just also wants to be with everybody else.
He doesn't want to be with her.
Then why is he going to propose?
Because she's there. She's solid. That's all it is. She's solid. She's consistent.
But to me, that makes it sound like he wants to be with her. Exclusively with her? No.
No.
Not exclusively.
No.
But he does want her.
No. She's consistent. She's probably the one with the better jobs. She's probably the only.
I don't know if she has a better job, but she has the most money.
Yes.
She doesn't have to spread it to the kids.
He don't have to do nothing. She's just happy he's there.
No, she needs him to work. She wants him to have a job.
Javon.
She helped set up his job for the warehouse.
So what? She does everything for him. That's why. The other girls don't do anything. Jawala might do it, but at the end of the day, Jawala stays with her mom.
Yeah.
I don't need to hear your mom in my ear if I'm there with you.
I'm torn. Because on the one hand, I get Jawala wanting to live this fantasy of them being a family. To like break the cycle. To be like, nah, I'm not one of the ones that's just a baby mama. I'm the wife. I get that. I get that delusion. And I also get Kiana's delusion of like, I've loved him since I was 13.
You gave up that cycle when you got pregnant by the first time and he left.
What do you mean gave up that cycle?
That cycle was already done when he got you pregnant the first time and left.
But for her, she feels like there's still hope that they could get married.
Sure. That's all I'm going to say to that. Sure.
It is confusing. I am interested to see if Kiana's going to go through with this marriage. I really hope she doesn't. But I wonder if
they're not going to make it that far.
We see her trying on the wedding dresses.
Yeah, they're not going to make it that far.
I don't know. We've seen crazier things.
You're right. And that's all for Love During Lockup.
Woohoo. You got any other shows you've been watching?
I'm just Abbott Elementary. That's pretty much all I've been watching.
I think you should support Geechee One and watch their films on Tubi.
Sure, that's what you want to do.
They have an Outlaws movie. That is a Geechee One production.
I'm gonna watch a movie of Outlaws. Everybody talking Geechee.
Are they? I don't know. It's supposed to be like Western. They're like old. It's like old Western. Old Western Geechee.
Sure.
We'll find out. I'll make you watch it.
Mm-hmm.
You said mm-hmm. Are you playing a video game right now?
No. Imagine my
Are you playing a game right now, Calvin?
No.
What are you doing?
Shuffling something.
Okay, I think that's it. We're done. You are playing a game. Shuffling something.
You want to yell that into the camera too?
Yep. Camera. The mic?
The mic.
Thank you for listening to We Like That podcast.
So we like that.
Go ahead and click that subscribe button. You know you want to. And rate us 5 stars. I'm Javon.
I'm Calvin.
Later, people.
And we're out.